Standing up for families throughout Nevada, telling the stories of working women and men. This is our voice and our community. We are Nevada with your hosts, Leonard Cardinelli and Nick DiArcangelo.
Come on, rise up. Come on, rise up. Come on, rise up. Come on, rise up. Come on, rise up.
Good morning. You're listening to the We Are Nevada new talk radio show with myself, Leonard Cardinelli, and my co-host, Nick DiArcangelo. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Leonard.
We have a very exciting show today. We got a lot of material to get to. We got some interesting news coming up, and we're giving away some show tickets today, aren't we?
Oh, yeah, we certainly are. As a matter of fact, we're hoping to get some people to call in today. We have a lot to talk about, so our number is 702-731-1230. Again, that's 702-731-1230, and we have Bon Jovi tickets to give away as part of the President Obama rally at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning. That's tomorrow morning at the House of Blues, and it'll be an acoustic performance by Bon Jovi. It'll be a throwback to the 80s. Did you listen to Bon Jovi back in the 80s?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
What was your
Very
favorite
talented,
song? Living on a Prayer? Let me guess. You give love a bad. It had to be You Give Love a Bad Name, because I imagine
There was a lot of disco back then, so I mixed it in with the light rock. But if you're a Bon Jovi fan, call in for tickets, 702-731-1230.
Oh yeah, and we're going to want you to stay on the line with us because we want to hear hear about your impressions of the presidential debate this week. We'll be talking about that right out of the gate, and that's something that that was a big deal. Did you watch it? Did you?
I did, and I was impressed with Obama's position, trying to get Romney to give some details on these plans that he has. But I have to tell you, I thought Romney held himself pretty well, and
I was impressed with Mitt Romney's position because I had never seen anybody twist themselves into a whole knot of fabrication before like he did. It was really truly amazing. So
why start with facts when you can just make stuff up?
Look, it's theater. Never ever let the facts get in the way, and it's totally live theater. I particularly enjoyed. Before the show, I went and brought up transcripts of the debate. And I just thought that rereading it is definitely it gives you an advantage because you get to take a look at what's true and what's not true. And I saw that he said that he was talking about gas prices, and as you know, I have a media background, and gas and fuel and energy was something that I followed very, very closely.
Well, he was making it seem that gas has gone through the roof since Obama took office. Is that accurate?
Well, I invite everyone to go to the website VegasGasPrices.com. There's a bunch of different reasons. First of all, if you go to this website, and I guess I am plugging this website. I have no attachment to it, but it's a good money-saving website, right? It tells you where the lowest gas prices are throughout the valley. But also, more importantly, it gives you a chart of where gas prices have been over the past, it goes back as far as 8 years. And that's a good time frame to go back to, because you will notice that under the former president, President Bush, in 2008, gas was at an all-time high of $4.
Has it ever been more expensive than that time?
Never. It was $4.26. So I'm curious about candidate Romney's claim that gas prices have gone up double since this president has come on board. Because if you go from $4.26 to the average now in the valley, which is $3.70, that's a drop. That's not exactly, I'm no math genius. I was an English lit major in college, but going from $4.26 to $3.70 isn't doubling gas prices, And as a matter of fact, if you want to talk about multiplication and doubling things, I remember when I first started covering energy. This was August or September of 2004. Gas was $1.40 a gallon. That's what I remember paying. That's what I remember complaining about, because it went up to $1.40 a gallon, and under President Bush.
Well, let me bring up some local news, and I'm going to take a serious moment. We had some walkers come in from California this week from SCIU. Unfortunately, they were involved in a traffic accident, and our thoughts and prayers go out to the family. Yolanda Kimberly Neal was 41 years old, and she did not survive the crash. She was from San Bernardino, SCIU local, ULTCW. We still have 2 people in stable condition in UMC. So I just want to take a moment and tell their family that we appreciate their commitment, and our prayers are with them.
and that's the thing. You know, these are people that are committed to this cause and to making sure that there is a future for middle class and families and things like that. They were out there doing the work that they knew that was vital and important, and this is just a terrible tragedy. And I was really sorry to hear about this. And again, like, as you said, our thoughts and prayers are out to their family.
Something that was I'm going to get ahead a little bit and talk about. We're not going to go into detail right now because we have a guest, Artie Blanco, on the show from AFL-CIO, and voter suppression was in the news this week, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But that was one of the things that I saw a headline in the news this week, that there across the country there are several efforts. So what does that say? Does it say that we're not sure we can win, so we're gonna manipulate the vote, or where are they
this
going
is
with
not
this?
new. This is the sad thing about this, and is that this is not a new phenomenon. We've seen this throughout the country. We've seen this in other states. We've seen this in recent history, and we've seen this, beyond this election here, where voter suppression is a very, very serious thing. And we hear about things about irregularities with elections and stuff, but voter suppression is unfortunately something that's very real and something that we're fighting against constantly. And that's why it's so crucial about this registration push that we do every week, and this reminder that we do, and things like that. So there was also, I don't know if you saw it, but there was some incredible news about jobless rate, and that it's fallen below 8% for the first time in nearly 4 years, which will be extremely good news for President Obama as he moves forward. And it was funny because I saw that and I started bringing up other things and sites, and I saw that look, the S&P's at the stock market's at like 1,400, the Dow's at
It was up 60 points this morning.
the Dow's over 13,000. And that is.
That's when things were good, right? So,
well, look, this is, and that's the question. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that's the question. Is we've been asking this question, and we've been putting it on our Facebook and stuff like that about saying, are you better off 4 years now than you were 4 years ago? And I've seen some of my friends who are not Democrats. They're saying, oh, we're not. How can you say we're not? All the evidence is there that we are. And do I want to repeat the last 4 years? Obviously, anybody wants to improve the last 4 years, but I could tell you I do not want to live in the 8 years previous to the last 4 years that created the nightmare that we had to live with after those 8 years were over. There was the failure. That is why I became a Democrat, and that why I voted for President Obama. It was because I wasn't going to reward a system that completely failed this nation, and I'm not going to do it again.
Well, where does that leave people who are bargaining? Obviously, we have some partners in We Are Nevada who are currently bargaining with public employees, bargaining with their employers. And how long do you think this is going to last, where the local government employers keep saying, we're broke and we have a budget shortfall and we don't have the money and we need to negotiate with you and you guys are making too much money, when clearly we're not. I mean, we're just surviving. We're paying our bills. No one's living like a king. Quite the opposite, as a matter of fact. But how long do you think they'll keep riding this, as far as saying that the economy's on the recovery?
Yeah.
So where are they going with this?
It's history has proven that they will ride it until the economic evidence and the overwhelming number of people in the population say, well, what are they talking about? That's when the water cooler talk becomes, they can't keep riding this economy is bad train. All right, so before we get to our guest, I just want to remind everybody we have a special acoustic performance on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. with John Bon Jovi as part of a President Obama rally, and you are invited to go if you give us a call at 702-731-1230. I have 4 tickets here to give you. And so all you have to do is give us a call here at 731-1230. And we are definitely interested in hearing your thoughts about the debate and who you thought won, who you thought lost, what information stuck with you.
And this morning we have Artie Blanco from AFL-CIO, who is helping with the voter registration. One of our favorite voter registration people out there. If it wasn't for Artie, I'm going to be honest with everyone listening, there would be thousands and thousands of Democrats that had not registered to this point. So she has had a tremendous effect on the voter registration, and we're very proud of her work. Good morning.
Morning. Thank you. Thank you. How y'all doing? Good?
Oh, fantastic, Aiken.
Great.
It's Friday.
So
it's Friday morning, and all my friends are here.
That's always a good way to start the day.
Right.
Thanks, guys, for having me on again. First of all, I just want to talk about how, we've got 2 days left to register to vote. We've got 2 days left to make sure your friends and neighbors are registered to vote. Technically, we can register until October 16th, but only if you go to the elections department. But in order for you to have a form, fill it out, you have to do it by Saturday.
Now, what's the cutoff for online registration?
The online registration's actually at midnight.
Okay,
Saturday
midnight
at
for
midnight.
online, okay.
Yeah, you can register still online on midnight, till midnight Saturday evening. But you have to be sure you have your driver's license number and your or your Nevada ID number. Only Nevada driver's license number in order for you to register online. So it's a great opportunity to be able to get that done. I've got some good news, and then we'll go into some of the bad news
Let's
that's been going on.
Yeah.
Well, first off, for union members and union households nationwide, we've registered over 450,000 new union voters.
Excellent.
Wow.
I saw that in the newspaper.
National.
I did see that.
And here in Nevada, that's over 10,000 just for Nevada. That's a 9% increase for Nevada.
Nice.
So everyone's been doing their part on the voter registration. So that's some amazing, great news.
Congratulations.
That's since March. So that's a really, really great movement. I do want to talk a little bit about the voter suppression. You brought it up a minute ago.
Yep.
There was a story this past week that Channel 3 did, and it was actually someone that witnessed someone registering someone in Henderson at the Henderson DMV. The woman, did you hear? The woman actually marked Democrat, and the guy's like, no. Grabbed the form from her, ripped it up into pieces, and said, "You need to refill out another form, but leave party affiliation open. Don't even mark it."
Right, and this is still America, right? This happened in America?
Yeah,
Right,
exactly. It happened in America. But, I'm a field registrar. I take classes. I go, I take extra classes at the elections department, and that's illegal. The only person that can fill out party registration is the actual person applying for filling out the registration form, not the person helping them with it or soliciting them to fill it out.
Is there
Only
anything
the
in the
person
NRS
that's
that
actually
makes
doing
that
it.
illegal?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I've been trained as a field registrar. I cannot fill out number 10 or number 11, which is party affiliation, and signature and date of the actual form when I filled it out. So it's a major issue. I think the Secretary of State talked about how he's got an investigation going on. It's the same organization that was hired by the national GOP and fired, but they continue to be hired here in Nevada. So it's been really interesting, and a lot of folks have seen other suppression stuff that's been happening at the DMV.
Hey, guys. We actually have a caller who called in for the tickets, and her name is her name is Tess. And I want to get her on the line. Hey, Tess, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Hey, welcome to the show. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Thanks for calling. Hey, first let me ask you: Are you a Bon Jovi fan?
I am.
And
time.
what's your favorite song? Leonard wouldn't fess up and tell me what his was. So, Living on a Prayer.
Mine was Dead or Alive.
Oh, Dead or Alive is a good song. Okay, now that
I
makes
love
a
them
lot.
all. I don't care any one of them. I love them all.
Now, did you happen to watch the debate?
Bits and pieces.
Okay, well that's good enough. My family was yelling at me. They wanted to watch a whole bunch of other different programming, but I stuck to it and turned it up loud, so I kind of forced it on them. What did anything stick out, or was there anything that caught your ear that you thought about it, and or who did you think won the debate? And you could be honest.
I'm an Obama fan.
All right. So you were rooting for him.
Yeah.
Now there was a lot of talk about disappointment that he didn't come out strong enough. He didn't come out swinging. What did you think of that?
I think I love the way he speaks. So I think he did just perfect.
Yeah, I see. I feel the same way. And you can't really see this, and we can't show it obviously because it's radio. But doggone it, if Mitt wasn't smirking through the whole thing, right? It was just the smirk was driving me crazy. And when I was a kid, I would get in trouble, and sometimes I'd be smirking like that.
Yeah.
And my dad would look at me and say, "I'm going to knock that smirk right off your mouth."
Somebody needed to do that to him.
Exactly. So I think a lot of people were hoping that the president was going to do that to his opponent there, but that didn't happen. Well, I have your information, so I'll be in touch with you. You'll need to pick up the tickets today, but I'll contact you after the show and we'll
Have
get
fun
that
at the Bon Jovi
We'll get that all
concert.
squared away. Okay.
She's gonna be
Okay, I
rocking
love
it
your
out.
show, by the way.
What's that?
I love your radio show.
Oh,
by
thank
the
you
way.
so much. I really appreciate that. All right, Tess. Have a great Friday. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, you too. Bye
All
bye.
right. Sorry, guys.
It's all right. She's going to be rocking it out tomorrow morning. I wish I can go.
That's right.
But we'll be out there registering people to vote because the last day is Saturday on the 6th.
Excellent.
There was a report that came out. It's actually on the Daily Close. I don't know if you saw this about New Mexico. There was a Republican group in New Mexico doing a training trying to get some GOPers to sign up to be poll monitors and actually have video footage of them basically saying that, we need to be challenging every Spanish speaker that comes in. If they're a change of address, they have to have proof of both addresses, that they're just going to be challenging voters as they're walking in the door. They're training people on how to do this, saying that the police are supposed to be the ones who ensure that the election is legit, like just complete scare tactics on the polling locations that would add and cause confusion and make voters want to leave and not hang out there to fight for their rights sometimes.
So let me ask you, and I know there's a lot of information we need to get to, but let me ask your personal opinion. What's really going on here? I mean, this is still America. You still have the right to vote. Have people gotten so desperate to win and to have their lifestyle be the main lifestyle of America? Because I don't think America's ready to be controlled and run by the 1% and by the people who only care about the people in their group, and everybody else can just feed on the crumbs, so to speak. What's really going on, you think?
I think people that are always shouting it's about freedom and my freedom, all they care about is themselves, not freedom for others. I think at the end of the day, there's this group of people, it's really interesting, the Republicans and the GOP, they use this mantra, the 1%ers, that's about my freedom, but when it comes to everyone else, no. It's only freedom for people that think like you and vote like you and live like you, and, I don't understand what's going on. There's so much individualism that we have, but in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
And people are just angry. I don't understand it. It's national. It's like the whole voter suppression, all these voter suppression laws, ID laws, Pennsylvania. I mean, it literally is so that people will not vote that they don't agree with. It's to keep people from doing that.
But
they want to take our freedoms away.
Like my mentality, and this may just be my own personality, is that if people are trying to take something away from me, or if they're trying to keep me from doing something, it just makes me want to do it.
Oh God, yeah.
Doggone it, I'm going to vote over and over and over.
Well, a lot of those
early and often. Okay, early and often. That's
right.
That's
No, but you know what I
we say
mean.
in
So
Texas.
I'm wondering. You're on the front lines. What's the mood out there when when you're knocking on a door,
Yeah,
or
what are they
when
saying?
you're talking to people? And
a couple of people are saying, well, I'm not sure, and and then we start talking about the prevailing wage issue. Scott Hammond on John Roston.
God,
Y'all
they're
probably
so
already
against
covered that.
that.
I mean, it's ridiculous. And then when they hear this, and these are guys that are like, I'm Republican, and it's like, oh, really? You want to know what they want to do here in Las Vegas and Nevada? And, they're starting to be like, wait a minute, this is really happening?
Yeah.
That's been their reaction, actually. Our canvassers come back every day, and they're like, they can't even believe what we're telling them. They think it's not true because it's so out there. And people are getting more and more engaged. It's really interesting to see, even young people. When we're talking to the household members and their kids are actually wanting to participate because it's just nuts out there.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because we talk about the national election too, but there's so much at the local level.
Mm-hmm.
And when we talk about things that happened during the last legislative session and the way things are looking for this next legislative session, and Leonard does a great job of this every time we talk about politics, making sure that you go down the ticket because there's so much at stake, and there's so much at stake nationally. But there are fights that are happening at the local level. There are efforts to take away rights. We talk about PERS just about every week and public pensions, and there's serious efforts to undermine that whole program under the guise of giving people more options or different things like that. And really, it's just a way to take away these rights and again, collapse these different systems. And so we have to really. Like you said, we have to educate people. That's what the show is all about. It's telling them that these threats are out there, that they're real, and that they're not phantom threats. I was doing an interview with a journalist up in the north, and he said to me that the strategy in this state is not to do a Wisconsin type thing, an all-out assault, but instead to chip away at our rights. That is the strategy: is to slowly but surely take away our rights and the things that we have fought for over the years. and take them away piece by piece until we don't even know that they're all gone.
Let me talk about going down the ticket briefly so people understand what I mean. In the last election, especially in the younger voters, they got energized, and they went out and they voted for Obama, obviously. And it showed, I believe, about 23% of them just went in, voted for the president, turned around and left. And they might be listening and saying, well, why would we go down the ticket when we clearly don't know everyone? Well, here's the reality of it. The reality is, if you want the middle class to survive, if you want them to be able to work for a decent wage and have a voice in collectively bargaining for their benefits and how a grievance is handled, if you want the middle class to survive and stay strong, then if you go down the Democratic ticket, you can be pretty sure. Now, some of them, might be a little more conservative, but for the most part, you'll get backing, like Nick said, when it comes to the elections. Those are the people we have to look at. We need to go down the ticket.
No, we definitely need to go. It's more dangerous, honestly. There's more of a direct effect in the legislative session, and those laws that are being passed. Just go down the ticket. It's not hard to do. That's one of the focuses that the AFL had this cycle. They had never done before. The AFL, the National AFL, put together actually flyers promoting and putting information out on specific legislative candidates. That had never been done before. This cycle, now we've got about 11 legislative candidates that we've got information on that we're handing out when we're in their districts. That's important. It's so important. It's something that we've recognized on the national level as well as here on the local level. Everybody has to think, go down the ticket.
Right. Shelley Berkeley, 100% voting record.
Of course.
With the middle class. Dina Titus, 100% voting record.
Yep.
People like Senator Horsford, who's running for Congress, going right down the ticket, always supporting us, always looking out for collective bargaining and retirement and prevailing wage and misclassification and all the issues that are important to the workers of Nevada.
Yeah, and the fact that and I just brought up a specific district, Senate District 18, who's the Northwest. Kelly Ross running, and Scott Hammond, this guy that wants to bring $14 per an hour prevailing wage for all projects throughout Nevada. That for families, if we're skilled workers, which is what we have, the reason that we cost, it's a living wage. They are trained. They are skilled workers to do this job and do it right, where buildings aren't collapsing, bridges aren't collapsing. That's what it's all about. That's what you're paying for. And for him to just be on the Ralston show, if you haven't seen it, you got to see this clip. We played it at the captain's meeting yesterday, and just people, our members and our leaders were gasping, like, what in the world? That's what they want to do. You said it, Nick. Chip away every single little thing, one at a time, and then pit each other against us. And that's not what it's about. We've got to come together as union brothers and sisters and really work with each other on the different issues that affect each of us, each of our unions and sectors. So it's really important to go down the ticket. It's very important that you register to vote. Get everyone in your family to register to vote. If you have any questions about registering, give us a call at our office, 459-1414, 459-1414. We'll help you. We'll get you the information you need. We'll be getting volunteers for voter suppression. We're going to actually be doing yard signs to put at key precincts and palm cards with information about your rights, because we know we're going to continue to see this suppression across the country. And we've got canvassing going on. The letter carriers got lots of international presidents coming into town in the next week or so. We'll be doing a big drive on October 14th. It's a Sunday. We need drivers. We're going to have like 300 letter carriers from California and across the country coming in, and even local presidents coming in and canvassing, in John O'Sagara's district and one of our targeted legislative districts as well in Senate District 5. We need drivers to sign up for that. So that, and then the next one, October 20th, man, 16 days away. 20th. 16 days. People are voting. Can't wait to go vote that morning, right? I just got to pick which early vote location I'm
Is it
going
true
to.
that 60% of the people vote that first
60%
day?
of the people, not that first day, the first 2 weeks.
Oh, the first 2 weeks.
I will say for union, like we pulled off all our members and households that voted last cycle. 56.5% of our union households and members here in Nevada vote early and in person. So that's 16 days away. I know I do. I do all the time. So 16 days away. 2 days to register to vote. Get it done. Give us a call, whatever information you need, where you can go vote early. We're going to have door hangers later on. If you see our people canvassing, we can always use the help getting out there and getting our message out there.
So we do need volunteers to
Yes.
walk, to drive, to man
Yes.
phones.
Yes.
And they can call this number, the 459-1414.
Yes.
That'd be the office number if
Yep.
they so choose to even just give you some time and volunteer.
Yep, that would be fantastic.
And look-
AFL-CIO.
Yeah, and look for the early, the early voting locations. I already know where I'm going. I mean, they're all over the place, and you can find them on the Clark County website if you're in Southern Nevada, and up in other parts of the state, they'll have them on their websites as well. We're trying to collect all that stuff and put it in one central location, but. And I've mentioned this before on the show, is that you early vote. Once you early vote, as soon as everybody in the family that's of voting age votes, it stops all those calls.
Yep.
You don't get them anymore. I mean, if
so
you
true.
need incentive, if everything that we're talking about isn't enough incentive to
Yeah.
get out there and vote, and it should be enough incentive,
I
but
would
just in
think
case it's not, when you vote, it shuts down all of those calls and polls. It's driving our family nuts, and I've just been picking up and putting the phone back
Well,
down.
we get an occasional call, but we're not really overwhelmed.
You can't even talk to them, Nick? Like 5 minutes?
Nope.
They're like, yes, no, okay, bye.
Not
Busy man.
Not even.
Getting ready for the radio
I got a
show.
call the other night during the debate, and they said,
that's
"Well,
crazy.
do you have a moment to talk?" And I said, "I am watching the presidential debate." Well, when would be a good time to call? After the presidential debate. I was like, well, that would be kind of obvious if I'm
That's
watching it.
funny.
But no, it's just early voting is it's just great, and you get out there, and it's just I still remember that feeling. It's a great feeling where. You get out there and when you see all the other people that are early voting,
Yeah.
it's exciting.
It's
And,
totally
it's
exciting.
an exciting feeling. And then some people have their different T-shirts on from they have these parties and organizations and that get out there all together and they vote in these blocks and I think that make it fun. I went today to a little coffee place and I don't have it out here, but they're doing this campaign, the 7-Eleven campaign.
7-Eleven,
right?
that's right.
And
Obama cup.
Yeah, I couldn't wait to grab my Obama cup.
We're starting to tell
So-
people, you come for a shift, you can have all the coffee you want, but you got to bring an Obama cup in.
Awesome. See,
Bring
that's
your own
great.
cup.
But that's the type of thing that we, it's a very serious thing, and there are very serious reasons why
Yeah.
we need to get out there and vote. But there's no reason why we can't have fun doing it.
No,
right?
that's true.
for
What
sure.
do we tell the people that show up, and maybe they're a little intimidated or they're a little made to be uncomfortable when they show up, and somebody's trying to dissuade them or make them complete a form, maybe in a manner they're not comfortable with? What do they do? What options do they have?
Voter reg forms or actual voting?
Voter
Showing up to
registration forms.
The best thing on the voter reg forms is, at the bottom of every form, there's a number to the elections department.
So if they have
My
an issue,
recommendation
call them.
would be to call that number. I mean, they can call us, but the number that's going to be at hand to them at that moment is to take that receipt and call that elections department office. The receipt detaches from the form and call the number. It's a very easy number. It's 455 vote.
Oh, there you go. That's easy enough.
455 vote to the county elections department, Clark County Elections Department. If you've ever felt that someone was either suppressing someone else, intimidating someone else as they were registering to vote, no, definitely call that number 455.
Leonard,
vote.
we should show up. We should just go down there, man.
You should. Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah.
and your capes
We're
and
talk
everything.
show hosts.
Say, what you need to say is, you better back off or I'm going to call Nick and Leonard. They'll be down here like that.
I got them on speed dial.
Yeah, that's right. They'll be down here. They said on their radio show.
That's right.
You'll be
exactly.
sorry. All right, Artie, stick around. We'll for the rest of the show. We might have you back. As we go through some stuff. More questions might pop up, but we'll be back after this.
Thanks.
The following is a public service announcement from We Are Nevada, heard here every Friday morning at 9 on KLAV 1230 AM radio and on the internet at www.klav1230am.com.
If you haven't done it yet, you gotta register to vote. If you moved, changed your name, or changed your personal information, you gotta register to vote. And most of all, if you want to make a difference, you gotta vote. Visit wearenevada.org today for a link to the Nevada Secretary of State voter registration page. Register today because you gotta vote. At the Minnesota State AFL-CIO Convention, Hubert Humphrey, the 38th Vice President of the United States, said, The story of the labor movement needs to be taught in every school in this land. America is a living testimonial to what free men and women, organized in free democratic trade unions, can do to make a better life. We ought to be proud of it. This week in labor history.
October 2nd, 2007. Starbucks union workers at an outlet in East Grand Rapids, Michigan, organized by the Wobblies, win their grievances after the National Labor Relations Board cites the company for labor law violations, including threats against union activists. Momentum was on the side of the IWW when a year earlier, New York Starbucks workers won a similar settlement. The IWW Starbucks Workers Union was founded on May 17, 2004. Now or Never, a British blog, interviewed Daniel Gross, who has been with the Starbucks Union from the beginning. The following excerpt from the blog, read by Nick, is Gross's answer as to why Starbucks workers felt they needed to unionize.
First, there's the bread and butter. $6, $7, $8 an hour is a poverty wage and disgraceful from a $23 billion company showing record profits quarter after quarter. Starbucks chairman Howard Schultz, already a billionaire, took in over $102 million in compensation last year, while baristas hover at or below the poverty line. Many Starbucks workers depend on government benefits to survive. The most staggering part of the financial picture at Starbucks is the scheduling of work hours. Every barista, busser, and shift supervisor, representing the overwhelming majority of employees of the company, is part-time. You can come to work one week and get 35 hours, get 23 hours the next, and end up with 12 hours the following week. Starbucks calls this scheduling system flexibility. The appropriate term is precarity, the regime by which human beings are treated like other inputs in the production process, like fuel or soybeans. The company buys as much labor as it wants, when it wants. Just-in-time inventory meets human flesh. Second, there's dignity, which at the end of the day is more important than bread and butter. Going to sleep having been humiliated at your retail job still stings even if the bills are paid, which they're usually not. Indignities large and small, physical and psychological, are rained upon Starbucks workers every day. Management refuses to schedule enough workers on the shop floor to meet the extraordinary consumer demand that Starbucks stores face. At the same time, the company fails to implement the most elemental of ergonomic standards. The result is damage to the physical integrity of the body via repetitive stress injuries and other musculoskeletal strain. Every week, we feature the This Week in Labor History segment as a reminder as to why unions are vital to the middle class. This excerpt of an interview with a Starbucks worker reminds us how in some ways we still have a long way to go. And that was our Week in Labor History, ending Friday, October 5th. Well, I'll tell you, if you need any reminder of why unions are so vital, are about to hear it with our next guests from SEIU, Antonio Rodriguez and Cheryl Bunch. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate you having us.
So there's been a lot of news lately and a lot of information, a lot of data about healthcare professionals and staffing levels and what is a crisis, a silent crisis in this country as far as the ability to provide quality patient care in hospitals. And it's just been amazing, reading through a lot of this information in my role when I was with SEIU and seeing what we're facing. And actually, I know that this weekend, SEIU is having a healthcare summit. Is it a town hall or a summit? I know it's a gathering of healthcare professionals and others that are concerned about this problem.
Yeah, we're having that at the Union Hall at 9 o'clock, and we're having folks from all over the state, including the folks that we are bargaining with right now up in Elko. Right. So now, give me an idea of what's going on in Elko, and then we could talk about even the broader problem, because I know this is something that's happening in one hospital up north, but I know this is not unique.
No, the thing that is unique in Elko is the fact that the hospital up there, Northeastern Nevada Regional Hospital, is making record profits. And Antonio will speak more to that. But the money that they're making up there is just phenomenal. And when you balance that against the fact that the workers themselves are the lowest paid of any hospital workers in the entire state, something needs to be done. Something's really wrong.
And this is a state And Antonio, you know what? Actually, Antonio, why don't you, Cheryl first? What do you do at SEIU, and what's your role in this? What's happening here?
Well, I have a crazy long title, but I am the administrator of contracts and legal affairs, and I work with, as it implies, legal affairs such as arbitrations and so on. But right now, my primary role is as chief negotiator.
And Antonio?
So I am the research director for the local. I also work for the international union as well. But in this role, so I kind of assist Cheryl in kind of doing costing, looking at how much proposals, looking at the finances of the hospital, things like that.
Research director extraordinaire.
Research director.
I think I saw that written somewhere. But we, you don't have to take my word for it. By the end of this interview, you will all agree. All right. So now, tell me. So this is the thing. What I was going to start talking about was the private healthcare in this state and how much money it brings in. Right, Antonio. I know you can tell me a little bit about this.
Well, definitely. So it's actually very interesting, and in some of our healthcare like town halls and summits, we've kind of talked about how Nevada is a very unique place for healthcare. It really is the kind of one of the epicenters of for-profit healthcare. So at a time when Nevada was growing, was at the same time, and particularly Clark County was growing, you have these for-profit hospital operators really kind of flexing their muscles and really being a player in the healthcare market where they weren't in the past. And so we just have such a big concentration in Clark County. 2/3 of the revenue that goes to hospitals goes to the for-profit entities. Right. And the hospital in Elko, Northeastern Nevada Regional, is part of a for-profit chain, LifePoint Health System, LifePoint Hospitals, excuse me. And again, it is kind of the flagship it's like the platonic ideal for LifePoint's entire business strategy. And they're like, are they? From what I remember and what I heard, they're the only game in town, right, up there in Elko. Yep, only.
For hundreds of miles.
Mm-hmm. Right. And what's the industry up there?
Mining. Big time.
So there's gold in yonder hills, both
in the
hills and in the hospital.
That's for sure.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
So what is, now we had Ashley on a few weeks ago kind of talking about this, who worked up there and who works up there, and she was kind of giving us an idea. What are the, what are the issues that the workers are facing?
Well, number one would be having a voice in the workplace as far as being able to speak to issues regarding staffing, safety issues, broken equipment, that sort of thing. And along with that is the ability to retain and recruit qualified healthcare professionals, whether it be somebody working in the diagnostic imaging or whether it be a nurse. Elko's a pretty remote place, and we feel that it is very important that the compensation packages are sufficient to be able to both recruit and retain folks. And we feel right now that's just simply not the case.
Right. Well, and you said something that I thought was really interesting, voice in the workplace, right? Because we have a for-profit system, and when you have a for-profit system, whether it's hospitals or whatever, they have a fiduciary responsibility to shareholders, right? So now you have a group of people that work in the hospital that have a responsibility towards patient care. Right, so you've got these two different things working against each other. You've got a system that needs to generate these profits, and this hospital obviously is on an extraordinary scale, right? But then you've got the people on the front lines who are slugging it out every day, fighting for their patients. Do they have the resources that they need to get that done?
Well, I think that's a big part of the question. Hearing the stories that the workers tell us when we are up there and meeting with them about issues going on in the hospital, it sounds to me like that's not the case, and they need more resources to be able to do their work the way that the community and they themselves would like to see. I'll tell you what, we had an informational picket up there, and it was on the 27th, and the people who stopped by our picket line to talk about how much they supported that workforce and how they felt that the hospital could do so much better by the community. I had one gentleman tell me that it was a sad day in Elko when it went from being a community hospital to being a privately held hospital. Mm-hmm. That speaks volumes, if you ask me.
Well, that tells me that how closely connected they are to the community, and you might not always see that. Wow, that's really amazing just to hear that. And that's great. It's great to hear that the community understands what's going on and is connected to the workers in that way.
If I could, I'd like to share another experience from that picket line with you, because it really touched me. I had a young mother stop by in her car. She pulled up by the side of the road and asked me, what is this demonstration about? So I started explaining to her what we were doing, why we were there. And she had 2 little kids in the back seat. They were good as gold. They just sat there in the car seats, not saying a word, listening to Mommy talk to this crazy woman with the sign out on the sidewalk. And I was talking to them about how this hospital made so much money and that the workers here were the least compensated in the entire state. And this little boy, he had to be maybe 5, 6. He reached into his pocket and tried to give me a dime to give to the workers. It was so sweet.
So he got it, even though he was a small child. Even he got it.
He
right?
absolutely got it. It was very touching.
That's amazing. See, that's that's the type of thing that I think that when you see the community come and they understand that the people are so dedicated and and what they're trying to do, it only helps out a lot. So this is and we've talked about these issues before about the drive for profits over patients and the types of things that the personal stories that I've heard about 12-hour shutdowns where there's no blood work being done because they're so short on staff, and then and how that completely shuts down the system. Now you mentioned that there's a retention problem, and so what have you heard? What are the effects that's having on day to day?
Well, I'm hearing incredible rates of turnover. And Ashley, actually, when she was on your show recently, talked about how many people she had trained, new nurses coming on the job, and out of quite a few, there were only 2 left. I don't remember her exact number at this point, but that is like what we hear in several areas of the hospital. Nurses in particular, though, are turning over like crazy. They come into Elko, they get their experience and as a new grad, and then they move on. And that means that the people of Elko are being cared for by folks who are just learning. And we want to turn that around and make it so that it's attractive for folks with experience to stick around as well. It's very important to have the new nurses come on and to get trained and so forth, and other healthcare professionals as well. But to be in a constant state of training folks, I don't think that's in the best interest of the community.
All right, Antonio. Can the hospital afford it? I mean, look, they have an opportunity here. They've got people that are committed, that want to do the work, that can do the work, that can give the community really quality healthcare, maybe even improve it, make it the best. Right? So, are they holding back?
It's so funny that during negotiations I was fiddling around on my laptop, just looking through the spreadsheets, doing the costing, and they could probably afford to double everybody's salaries and still be the most profitable hospital in the state of Nevada. So it's not that they would still be it's like literally you would still beat out every hospital in Nevada in profits, absolute profits, not profit margin, in the entire state. This hospital last year made $36 million. It's a 50-bed facility where they really only staffed 35 beds. The next closest was in Nevada. It was like probably 26. They had a 48% profit margin. They only brought in $76 million of revenue. This is not a large hospital. To put in perspective, UMC or Sunrise is about 4 to maybe even more times bigger. From beds perspective, they're probably 10 times bigger than this hospital, and this hospital made more in absolute profit. And again, they're on track to do that again this year. In fact, they're the leader out of the gate at the halfway point. Just got the new numbers. So far they've made $19 million. And this hospital is 1% of the beds of the corporation that owns them, 2% of the revenue, and 22% of the profits. It's just mind-boggling. I remember when we first started doing the negotiations, I had to make sure I ran the numbers right. I was like, this can't possibly be true. I've never seen a facility with just such and obviously, we think about like gold and stuff like that. They're doing well because the mines are doing well. Gold is like a counter-cyclical, and so oftentimes gold does well when the economy is bad. But I looked back 10 years, even when gold was down, this hospital still made money. This hospital always makes money. And it's kind of being at that, obviously they're the only hospital, the only game in town, and so they use that to overcharge patients. Right now the mines don't care because they have so much money, but the cost is just so much higher than any other place. And then our workers have to live in an environment where their inflation is going through the roof because there's not enough housing. You have all these minors showing up paying $2,000 a month to stay in a studio or something like that. And so they're living in a very inflationary environment. And so they're trying to keep up with the lowest wages. Just, I guess, a couple of more facts about the hospital. And is that, you see a lot of the for-profit care, you see this like dichotomy between they're doing all of this stuff wrong, so they're staffing poorly. They're not investing in capital expenditure, so they have old equipment. They have maybe the inside looks they have a whole floor where they don't do anything.
There are no suites.
Yeah,
for
and yet they're making all this money. It's like, what kind of message does that send? And I think it really gets at a bigger problem, what's wrong with our healthcare system in general. It's like you see all the horrible stuff they're doing to their employees, the way that they're not prioritizing patient care, and yet they're the ones that are winning. They're the ones that are doing well, while you see another hospital, like take UMC for example, that has to take the patients that cannot pay. We have they treat the workers certainly better than they do treat them in Elko, and it's kind of floundering. And so it's really hard to see from a manager's perspective, right? They're like, we're doing this right, because like you said, the shareholder versus patient care dichotomy.
Right, the bottom line is money, and I did the math. I think Nick did also. So the $36 million, they made $720,000 per bed last year. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Is that how much we're talking about? And that was just last year, right?
And the thing is that I mean, I'm looking at these numbers too, and I'm looking at it's just, I got to go through it again. It's 35 beds, or so it's 75.
Well, technically,
it's
they
staffed, 35 staffed.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
On
I
a
mean,
regular basis.
this is tiny, right? And then what was it? 36 million last?
36 million last year.
That's just not so. But actually, the number that will always stick with me is they have 1% of the business. I hate to call it the business, but it's 1% of the business, but 22% of the profits. And this is, and I like that. I like that you did that research on gold and where gold was, and because it's easy to tie it to the economy, and that the economy now, gold is insane. I remember when gold was 300 an ounce, and what is it now? 1600. Yeah, 1600, right? And those things go down. It'll fall eventually. I mean, everything does, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Basically, it's a monopoly. It's the only game in town syndrome. This is it. So when you think about, I think about hospitals, right? And I think I'm from Jersey. I'm from North Jersey, and I think about the competition in hospitals back in northern New Jersey and New York. And I remember Hackensack Hospital, which is an old hospital, but it's one of the best. And it had these, if you were going to have a baby, everybody wanted to go to Hackensack Hospital because they had these beautiful suites, that they had. And I know in town, when I had my second son, we went to a hospital here in town. They had the same type of thing. They would bring you through, and they would show you these suites, and they would show you the security system and all the tagging and all the different things that they did. They were trying to outsell each other because it's a very competitive market. Well, from what I'm hearing being described here, we're talking about, the dollar store of hospitals, but the profits of Walmart, So, and that's disturbing because that means the community's being cheated, So where are we going? What's next?
Well, we've actually, we just had the informational picket. We have called. We actually have two bargaining units up there: the support staff and the nurses. The support staff has been in bargaining since March, and we are now in mediation. We just had our first mediated session. We are getting ready to set a second one, but the membership is getting very frustrated with the fact that this, they know these numbers now. They didn't know them before. Mm-hmm. They know them, and they're outraged. So we did a strike vote, and it was unanimous. They are prepared to go on strike if negotiations don't get them where they need to go. However, standing in the wings are the nurses. Their contract expires the last day of this year. And so we have done our demand to bargain letter, and we are prepared to open that table this month. So ultimately, if we are in bargaining with both of those units, we're hopeful that the management team will understand that these workers are serious. They're committed, they are dedicated, and they're willing to take them on.
Definitely.
Is there any kind of support you can get from the community or volunteers? Is there a number they can call or a website they can go to if they want to support you guys?
Well, actually, they could call. We actually want to get a Facebook page up, But they could call me. My number is 702-210-4095, and I am the chief negotiator. We have had offers of support while we were out on the picket line, and I told folks, stay tuned, more is coming. Stay involved, because if it comes down to we have to go on strike, we will need the community support, and we are getting ready to launch several different programs within the community to make sure that people are actively engaged in what's going on in their community.
I was just thinking about all this, and it's funny because when I start hearing numbers and things like that and profits, I get fixated on that stuff. And knowing the little bit I know, and I'm glad Antonio's here so he can kind of bring me out of the woods on this. But so I want to know what I know. Hospitals get a certain amount of money from the federal government too, right? I mean, but on top of all these profits they're getting, don't they also get some sort of federal subsidies or some sort of money to help them operate?
Yes, and I would say that first, understanding from a hospital perspective, pretty much every hospital lives off of, there's three main sources of payment, right? You have third-party commercial insurance payers, you have Medicare, federal government, and then you have Medicaid with the joint federal and state for people who are poor or meet a certain kind of income limit. Every hospital lives, Medicare is going to be the lifeblood of pretty much any hospital, just because, when you're older, you go to the hospital more. You're going to be sick, or you're going to have those type of things. So pretty much every hospital, that's the lifeblood of pretty much every hospital. Elko is fortunate in that when the mines are doing well, the insurance product is really good, and so the insurers are willing to pay anything. But certainly, Northern Eastern Nevada Regional certainly qualifies as, like, I'm not sure if they get the critical access hospital designation, but they are certainly a sole community provider, and so they will get the advantages of that. And so oftentimes what states will do is their rural hospitals, they will have them get supplemental payments. Oftentimes they will get Medicaid payments that are better than urban hospitals. That's oftentimes a big dispute between the rural hospitals get treated better than urban hospitals in that kind of environment. And so Elko's no different.
Well, it's incredible, and I wish you guys and our sisters and brothers up in the north all the luck, because this is a good fight. This is a fight that's for the betterment of the community, the people they serve, for the healthcare industry, and I just think it's really important. And I look forward to having you both back on again soon to talk about a victory up in Elko. So thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Leonard and Nick.
Thank you.
Join us every Friday morning at 9 a.m. with co-hosts Leonard Cardinale and Nick DiArcangelo right here on KLAV 1230 AM Talk Radio, the new We Are Nevada talk radio show. Or you can listen to us live streaming on the internet at KLAV1230am.com.
Nick and I will be talking about the issues that are important to you, Nevada, updates on collective bargaining, and the Nevada Public Employee Retirement System. We'll be talking with teachers, nurses, and public professionals that will give you a look into exactly what it is they do for you each and every day, Nevada.
Don't miss our This Week in Labor History to experience the historical path that led us to the present and into the future. Leonard and I cover recent events, and we'll be talking about the presidential election, as well as our state and local elections right here in Nevada.
The new We Are Nevada talk radio show live every Friday morning right here on KLAV 1230 AM, or streaming live on www.klav1230am.com. Join us every Friday morning at 9 a.m. And be informed, Nevada. Get the information right from the source so you can be confident as we move forward toward a better Nevada for all.
All right. I want to take a moment and remind everyone that tonight is First Friday.
Woohoo!
That's right. And tonight there's a talented singing group. The Seaboy Stars will be singing tonight at First Friday at 5 and 6 p.m.
Oh, yeah, give that again. Sorry, I interrupted you. 5 and 6 p.m.?
5 and 6 p.m., First Friday. Come and check out these talented new singers. Also, they'll be at the District in Green Valley on October 7th for a wonderful charity between 5 and 7 p.m. Go ahead and check them out. They're a teen group, and they're up and coming, and I think you'll enjoy the show.
Yeah, I've seen them on YouTube. They're amazing. Well, Leonard, we didn't get to PERS Talk today, so we didn't get to hear our favorite intro to the PERS Talk segment. But for all our fans out there, don't be disappointed. We'll be sure to be back next Friday to give you all the latest on the public employee pension system and the fight to try and take that away and how it's going to be defended during this next legislative session. So I just want to thank everybody out there for listening today. And remember, get yourself registered. Get online, find out where your early voting location is, and make sure you vote. The stakes are really high this time around, and we need to be out there
every Friday morning, 9 o'clock, right here, the new We Are Nevada talk radio show on 12:30 a.m. KLAV. Please join us every Friday morning. Have a great day, Nick.
Hey, you too, Leonard.
Was a blood red circle on the cold dark ground.